If your weeks keep repeating you are not lazy, you are flying without instruments. Most people think the answer is more effort, more hours, more pressure, but busy is not the same as better, and that confusion can steal years. Here is one quick reality check. When sleep is short, the first thing that drops is attention and working memory. That is not mindset, that is capacity. So today we are not doing a dramatic new life speech. We are doing something calmer, something more useful. In the next 15 minutes, I will show you 5 simple checks you can run in about 60 to 90 minutes. You will walk away with one safe next action to run for the next 7 days. And I want to keep 3 questions open as we go. I will label them so you can track them. Loop A, why does motivation feel strong at night, then disappear in the morning? Loop B, which of these checks predicts the next relapse most often? Loop C, what is the smallest if-then plan that still works? Now let's set the frame. You do not fix an airplane in one afternoon. You do not rebuild every system. You read the dashboard, you check the instruments. Then you correct course early before a small drift becomes a big problem. That is what this is, a cockpit check for your week, not therapy, not a diagnosis, not a promise that everything will be perfect. It is an educational self-check so you can see what is actually happening. Picture a simple panel with 5 dials. Energy, friction, meaning, attention, next action. Your job is not to max out every dial today. Your job is to score them honestly, then choose one correction to run for 7 days. 1, not 5, because change works better when it is repeatable. Let me give you a real person so this stays grounded. Imagine a 28-year-old customer support lady in Lahore. Always on, always reachable. 2 phones, messages at night. A shift that ends but the mind does not. They have goals, they even have plans. But every week looks the same. They start strong, then fall off, then feel guilty, then repeat. That is not a character flaw, that is a system problem, and systems can be adjusted. Micro-win for you right now, you are not broken, you just need a dashboard. Alright, first dial, the energy check. This dial answers one question: do you have enough fuel to think clearly? Here is a simple way to check it. Look at the last 3 nights, not with perfection, with honesty. Were you roughly getting enough sleep or were you running on fumes? When energy is low, everything feels heavier, even small tasks, even simple choices. And this is where people get stuck in a painful story. Here is the insecurity: maybe I am lazy, maybe I lack discipline. Maybe I just don't want it enough. Here is the explanation: sleep deprivation does not just make you feel tired. Research reviews show it can impair attention and working memory, and attention is often hit first. So here is the practical clarity step. If your energy dial is low, your next step is not to punish yourself. It is to protect capacity. That does not mean you need a perfect routine. It means you pick one small move tonight. Set a close time for screens. Set a start time for sleep, not heroic, just consistent. Here's the pattern: fear, relief, control. Fear. When energy is low, you can misread your life as failure. Relief. A low-energy brain really does have less attention to spend. That is not weakness. Control. You can raise the dial with one steady boundary this week. And one more safe detail without drama. Sleep is also tied to emotion. Large reviews and meta-analyses have looked at how sleep loss affects emotional experience and reactivity. The point is simple. Sleep and emotion are connected. Micro-win: if your energy dial is low, your next step is not motivation. It is capacity. Now I will place Loop A on the table again. Many people feel motivated at night and flat in the morning. We will come back to that after we check attention, because attention creates cues that pull you off course. Second dial, the friction check. Friction means what is making good actions harder than they should be, not why can't I do it, but what is in the way. Friction can be tiny but powerful. Your phone is within reach. Your goal is too big to start. You do not know the first step. Your workspace is not ready. You need 10 minutes of setup before you can even begin. And friction does something sneaky. It turns a good intention into a delayed start. Then a delayed start becomes tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes a week. Here is the insecurity again. I keep failing. I must be inconsistent. Here is the explanation. Strong goal intentions do not guarantee follow-through. One reason is that people often fail to decide the when, where, and how ahead of time. Research on implementation intentions focuses on this exact gap. So here is the practical clarity step. We replace willpower with a cue. Today's safe way to apply this is simple. Remove one barrier in 2 minutes. Put the phone in another room for the next work block. Open the document now, not later. Lay out the shoes. Write the first line. Create a shortcut on your screen. Fear, relief, control, fear, friction is why strong intentions still fail and then you blame yourself. Relief, this is normal. It is a planning gap, not a moral defect. Control. You can remove one barrier today and make the start easier than the excuse. Micro-win, you do not need a stronger self, you need a clearer start. Now I want to set loop B clearly. If I had to guess which dial makes people slip back into old patterns, it is often the one that breaks the start. We will test that by the end, using what we learned from the last dial, the next action. Third dial, the meaning check. This dial asks, are you doing actions that match your values even in small ways? Because when meaning is low, procrastination rises. Not because you are weak, because nothing feels worth it. And you can be very productive while meaning is low. You answer messages, you clear urgent tasks, you do what other people ask, but you do not move your own life forward. Fear, relief, control, fear. If you only do urgent tasks, the week becomes survival mode. Relief, there is a concept in psychology called behavioral activation. It is used in clinical settings, but the core idea is simple. Increase engagement in meaningful activities and reduce avoidance patterns. Control, we will use a non-clinical version today. One small, value-based action for 10 to 20 minutes. This is not about fixing depression. This is not about diagnosis. This is about directional thinking. Choose one value: health, family, learning, faith, craft, service. Now choose one action that fits in 10 to 20 minutes. A short walk, a page of reading, a single prayer, slow and present, 10 minutes on a skill, one message to someone you care about. Micro-win, one meaningful action is a vote for the person you want to be. And now our persona comes back. Our support lead finishes a long shift, they feel drained. If the only plan is be better, nothing happens. But a 10-minute value action after dinner, that can happen, that can be repeated. And repetition is where trust returns. Loop B reminder, meaning helps, but friction still decides whether you show up, so we will keep watching friction. Fourth dial, the attention check. This dial asks, is your attention being cut into pieces all day? Because your brain cannot feel calm if it never finishes a thought. Now I want to be careful here. This is not about blaming technology, and it is not about extreme dopamine detox talk. But there is a real pattern that shows up in research and in life. Studies on heavy media multitasking have found links with higher susceptibility to interference from irrelevant stimuli. In other words, the mind gets pulled more easily. And meta-analytic work has found a negative link between media multitasking and sustained attention, with results depending on how it is measured. That does not mean screens cause everything. It means attention is worth checking. Here is the insecurity: my focus is ruined, I can't concentrate like I used to. Here is the explanation: attention is not a personality trait. It is a system that responds to inputs, cues, and interruption. Research findings show that heavy multitasking relates to more interference, and broader work finds associations with sustained attention. So here is the practical clarity step. Reduce triggers, design your environment so focus is the default. Safe way to apply right now: create one single task block, 20 minutes, phone away, one task. Not forever, not no dopamine, just one clean block. And yes, the dopamine fasting idea is often misunderstood. Even the popular explanation from Harvard points out that the phrase is not literal dopamine fasting, and the useful part is stepping back from compulsive behaviors, not pretending you can reset brain chemistry with a trend. Fear, relief, control, fear. If attention is scattered, even a good plan will feel heavy. Relief, the mind is reacting to constant cues. This is a system problem. Control. You can protect attention with one block, one boundary, one removal of a trigger. Now one more proof point that matters for our always-on persona. Large studies have found associations between screen use before bed and poorer sleep outcomes in adults. This is association, not fate. But it is relevant because sleep affects capacity. Micro-win, attention is not a personality trait. It is a setting. And now we pay off loop A. Why does motivation feel strong at night, then disappear in the morning? Here is the safest answer. Night is often when you can imagine change without paying the cost yet. Morning is when action meets cues, messages, time, pressure, friction. So instead of waiting for motivation, we design cues that make action more likely, especially on ordinary mornings. We do not rely on the mood, we rely on the plans. Fifth dial, the next action check. This dial asks, do you have a next action that is small, clear, and tied to a cue? Because without a next action, you will default to the same week. Not because you want to, because that is what systems do. This is where we use one of the most practical tools in behavior research, implementation intentions. In simple terms, it is an if-then plan. If a situation happens, then I will do a specific action. Research reviews and meta-analyses have found that forming these plans can improve follow-through compared with having a goal intention alone. Here is the format. If it is time or place, then I will do tiny action for short time. Example for our support lead. If I finish dinner, then I will walk for 10 minutes. Or if I sit at my desk at 9 o'clock, then I will open the document and write one sentence. Now we add one more layer, a rescue plan. If I miss it, then I will do the 2-minute version. 2 minutes still counts, because it protects identity and reduces shame. Fear, relief, control, fear. Without a next action, you keep restarting and calling it lack of discipline. Relief, research suggests if-then plans can help because they link action to a cue, not to mood. Control. You can write one tiny plan today that survives a bad day. Micro-win, clarity beats intensity. Now we pay off loop. See what is the smallest if-then plan that still works. It is the plan you can do on a bad day, not your best day, your bad day. Small does not mean pointless. Small means repeatable, and repeatable is what turns a new week into a new pattern. And now we pay off loop. B carefully, which check predicts relapse most. Here is the clean lesson. Without pretending, life is simple. Plans tend to break when the start is unclear and the environment makes action costly. When you do not have a cue, friction wins by default. So if you want one place to strengthen the system, strengthen the start. Strengthen the cue, reduce the friction. Micro-win, your week improves when your start becomes automatic. Now before we close, we need one honest counterpoint. These checks are simple on purpose, but life can be complex. If you're dealing with severe anxiety, depression, burnout, trauma, or insomnia, a checklist is not a replacement for care. If unsure, consult a qualified professional. Use this as organizational thinking, awareness, pattern spotting, reduce friction, pick one next action. Micro-win, small structure is not fake, it is support. Now we land the plane with a 7-day protocol. Simple, repeatable, calm. Day 1 is your afternoon reset. Give yourself 60 to 90 minutes. Run all 5 checks. Score each dial as low, medium, or good. Then pick one correction to run for 7 days, not 5, 1. Write one if-then plan, make it small, tie it to a cue, add a 2-minute rescue version. Days 2 to 6 are light. Do one 10 to 20-minute value action each day, that is your meaning dial, and do a 3-minute nightly cockpit review. 3 questions, which dial was lowest today? What one small adjustment tomorrow? What friction can I remove? Day 7 is your review. Keep one habit that worked, replace one that didn't, then repeat for another week. Now let's recap the dashboard in plain words. Energy is fuel. When sleep is short, attention and working memory can drop. Friction decides follow-through, clear cues matter, meaning gives direction. One value action reduces avoidance in a practical way. Attention needs boundaries. Media multitasking is linked with more interference, and research debates the size of attention links across studies. Next action needs a cue. If-then plans can improve follow-through. After 7 days, they are not a new person. But their week is calmer. They have one reliable start, one protected block, one small value action. And the biggest difference is not speed, it is trust. Because when you can repeat a small promise to yourself, the dashboard starts to make sense. And once it makes sense, you can steer. Next time we will build a minimum week schedule that survives bad days, without hustle culture.